Chapter 2695. What's wrong with Tianjin? We've dealt with them all. Below, all the abyss species had been annihilated. In the sky, the battle was still going on. Mo Sha raised his head and looked up as he couldn't help but shout out. Given Tianjin's strength, this shouldn't be the case. Prime Minister Turtle frowned slightly and asked with a puzzled expression. Let's go and take a look. Wang Xian was also surprised. In a battle of the same level, the thorn monster formed by Tianjin's formation could easily kill the opponent. Now that it was 3 against 1, it was strange that they still could not deal with it. Wang Xian did not rush into the battlefield, but went to the command platform of the Dragon Peak. Dragon King, I've encountered an interesting abyss species. I'm going to capture it alive. Tianjin's eyes flickered when he saw Wang Xian. Oh, capture it alive? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows with a surprised look on his face. Got it. Right at this moment, Tianjin revealed an excited expression. In the sky, where the thorns covered the area, the 3 thorny monsters had sharp bones wrapped around their bodies. In the middle there were nose, eyes, ears, and other parts that were entangled. This pinnacle immortal king abyss species can split into so many parts? And it doesn't seem to be seriously injured. Wang Xian looked at the parts of the abyss species curiously. If there was vitality in the broken arm of an expert, he could indeed fly with 1 arm. But after the arm was broken, it was equivalent to being injured. If the immortal king was split into tens of thousands of parts, it would be considered a serious injury. Now that the pinnacle immortal king abyss species had been split into tens of thousands of parts, it seemed to be uninjured. Amazing! I'm going to study it. Dragon King, don't kill this abyss species for now. Let me see if there are any surprises. Tianjin said to Wang Xian. Sure. Restrain it. Let's go. Wang Xian nodded and instructed. Yes, Dragon King. Tianjin answered immediately and took out jade boxes to store the body parts of the pinnacle immortal king abyss species. Victory return. Standing on the Dragon Peak, Wang Xian swept his gaze across the disciples of Dragon Palace and shouted. Victory return. Prime Minister Turtle repeated loudly. Yes. All the members of the Dragon Palace responded excitedly. One by one, they flew toward the Dragon Peak and the Horizon Ruler. Dragon King, the results and losses of this battle have been tallied up. In less than an hour, Prime Minister Turtle flew over and spoke to Wang Xian with a smile. Tell me. Wang Xian nodded and replied. In terms of losses, we have an 8th Order Immortal King, 3 7th Order Immortal Kings, 15 6th Order Immortal Kings. That's a total of over 700 Immortal Kings, and about 2,000 disciples below the God Lord realm. Most of them have been absorbed by the soul returning wood. Prime Minister Turtle said. The number of dead disciples is less than we expected. It's nothing compared to the harvest. This time, there's 1 Undying God King Peak Abyss type corpse, 16 ranked 9s, 55 ranked 9s, 170 ranked 9s, 50,000 Undying God King and above corpses. Over 300 million other corpses. This time, our Dragon Palace will get a huge upgrade. As he spoke, his eyes shone with excitement. The loss is within the range. The harvest is not bad. Wang Xian nodded his head. This time, the Dragon Palace would have an additional 16 9th Order Immortal King Realm experts. In addition to the original 23, there would be a total of 49th Order Immortal King Realm experts. What was the concept of 49th Order Immortal King Realm experts? It was a lot stronger. In addition, there would be 2 more peak stage Immortal King Realm experts. As he thought of this, he looked to the side and saw Tianjin holding a humanoid peak stage Immortal King Abyss type skeleton and was studying something. Wang Xian did not disturb him. Dragon Peak and Heaven's Edge Ruler traveled at high speed. 2 days later, they arrived at the center of the Demon Island. Enter the Dragon Palace for a comprehensive upgrade. Wang Xian ordered all the disciples before entering the Dragon Palace. All the members of the Dragon Palace entered the Dragon Palace. Dragon King, who should be the first to break through to the peak stage Immortal King realm? Prime Minister Turtle asked as they arrived at the Dragon Transformation Pool. Let Roving Heavens do it. Wang Xian said after a moment of silence. Roving Demons upgrade might be useful. but he was strong in assassination. In a head-on battle, he was much weaker than the berserk dragons. If there was another abyss war, roving heavens would be more suitable for it. Tianjun, how's your research on that peak stage Immortal King abyss type coming along? He looked to Tianjun by the side. Over the past 2 days, Tianjun had been researching on this thing. Dragon King, I have an idea. I'm prepared to turn this peak stage Immortal King abyss type into a biological armor. A biological armor that has life and can raise one's strength. Tianjun said after a moment of silence. Oh, biological armor? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow. Dragon King, after the Array Grandmaster, one can be called a shaman. Of course, Void God Emperor shamans can only be called junior shamans. In the past, the reason why I was betrayed by my disciple and killed by the Shaman Society was because I obtained a witchcraft manual. Arrays are used by shamans to connect heaven and earth are used by shamans to modify themselves. Powerful shamans would carve arrays in their bodies to strengthen themselves and connect heaven and earth. According to the knowledge in that witchcraft manual, this peak stage Immortal King abyss type is a great material. It can't be called a material. As long as it is modified slightly, it can be made into a biological armor. Tianjun said as his eyes shone with wisdom. What will the outcome be? Wang Xian pondered for a moment before asking. Dragon King, this peak stage Immortal King abyss type's combat power far surpasses others of the same level. In a one-on-one situation, even the thorns formed by my array is not a match for it. It's not worth it to use it to raise a member of Dragon Palace. After making it into a biological armor, it can fight freely, and its combat power will be the same as before. It can also be worn. For example, Dragon King, you can directly attach the biological armor to your body. Your strength will be stacked with that of the biological armor. This is like a special mechanical weapon. Even if it's just a small god, the biological armor will recognize it as its owner. It can also unleash the combat power of a peak stage Immortal King. Tianjun said. Oh, that's more suitable than using it to raise a disciple of Dragon Palace. How long will it take to complete the modification? Wang Xian was slightly shocked. It will take some time. Also, Dragon King, I would like to ask you for 2 treasures, Unbeginning Saint Wings and Eternal Embryo Fruit. Tianjun said. Chapter 2696. Inchoate Sacred Wings was a treasure that Heaven Formation had obtained along with the witchcraft. It was also because of the inchoate sacred wings that he could survive. According to Heaven Formation, the inchoate sacred wings was an extremely powerful treasure. Even when he was at his peak, he couldn't see through the material of the inchoate sacred wings. Heaven Formation wanted the inchoate sacred wings to build a biological armor. Of course, it was only temporary. Given the mysteriousness and power of the inchoate sacred wings, it would be a waste. As for consuming the eternal pregnancy fruit, Heaven Formation was preparing to eliminate and give birth to the abyssal spirit of the Pinnacle Immortal King, Pinnacle God King. To build a biological armor, one would need to have a trace of intelligence and complete control. This fancy thing is quite interesting. Old man, let's study it together and create a biological armor. We'll add some poison to it. Devilish Orochi looked over curiously and said, Hee sure. The 2 of you can become witch dragons. I can teach you a thing or 2 in the future. Heaven Formation looked at the 2 of them and said plainly, Hee, it's impossible for us to be your henchmen. We are still waiting for the poison dragons to appear in the Dragon Palace. When the opportunity arises, we will become poison dragons. Your witch dragons are too strenuous. Devilish Orochi shook his head slightly and said, Poison dragons were dark mutated divine dragons. They were also extremely powerful divine dragons. However, the Dragon Palace couldn't turn them into poison dragons. Such mutated divine dragons required powerful treasures and opportunities. Hee. Heaven Formation smiled faintly and left without saying anything. Devilish Orochi and the rest followed. Duan Jinming and the Fire Hammer clan leader followed behind. The Pinnacle of Blacksmiths was the creator. They could also learn something from the creation of biological armor. Wang Xian smiled when he saw it. Let all the disciples improve, he said plainly. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle nodded and started assigning the members of the Dragon Palace to improve. Wang Xian didn't have anything else to do. He looked over at Heaven Formation. In the next 10 days, all the members of the Dragon Palace improved their strength. Meanwhile, something big had happened on the Demon Island. This sensational event came from the Dragon Palace. 10 days after the Dragon Palace conquered the Northern Abyss, the news spread. The first to know about this was the Nine Heavens Heaven-Shattering sect. The abyss to the east of the Demon Island had been pacified. For the time being, no abyssal race had appeared. The great sect of the Nine Heavens and the Heaven-Shattering sect had shifted their attention to the abyss to the north of the Demon Island. However, when they sent people to investigate, they found that there were no more abyssal species in the northern abyss, which shocked them. After some investigation, they found out that all the experts of the Dragon Palace had gone out for a mission 10 days ago. Finally, they got specific information from the sect master of Yu Clan. When they found out about this, they were shocked beyond belief. It was even more shocking than when the Dragon Palace severely injured the World Edge sect. Following this, the ancestral patriarchs of the Nine Heavens and the Heaven-Shattering patriarchs brought valuable gifts and visited the Dragon Palace. If the strength displayed by the Dragon Palace previously made them fearful, then this time, they were terrified. They also understood the strength of the abyssal species in the northern abyss, which was similar to the ones in the east. In the past, the continent of the Nine Clouds, the Broken Heavens sect, and the other factions had to work together to stop the abyss species in the east. Now that the Dragon Palace had destroyed such a force, it meant that the Dragon Palace had the strength to destroy the continent of the Nine Clouds and Broken Skies. They had to come and express their goodwill. Wang Xian naturally accepted the visit of the continent of the Nine Clouds and Broken Skies. If he didn't accept it, the other party might panic. Such a shocking matter was not known by ordinary people, only some experts. Following which, the entire Demon Island calmed down. Without the threat of the abyss species, the Demon Island was much more relaxed. However, compared to the peace on the Demon Island, the battles in other places were getting more and more intense. On the artificial intelligence system, there were frequent reports of experts from various sects dying on the Cold Night Island. On the Pingy Island, there were experts from various sects dying. In recent days, the artificial intelligence system even reported the death of an immortal king pinnacle expert from the imperial court. An army of experts was attacked by the abyss species, and all of them were annihilated. The battles in other places were getting more and more intense. The people on the Demon Island could feel that the invasion from the abyss in other places was getting fiercer and crueler. Wang Xian also understood some things about the other islands and the central region from the artificial intelligence system. However, this place was very far from the Demon Island, and the members of the Dragon Palace were also in the process of leveling up. Therefore, he didn't pay much attention to it. Dragon King, the leveling up of all the disciples of the Dragon Palace has ended. After a few days, Prime Minister Turtle came to the Dragon King Hall and reported to Wang Xian. Good, let them get used to it. Wang Xian smiled when he heard the news. The strength of the Dragon Palace had reached another peak. Very good, very strong. Haha, boss Dragon King, take a look. At this time, Masha's voice was heard from outside. Subsequently, Wang Xian saw a 2,000-meter black humanoid monster entering the Dragon King Hall. It was 2,000 meters tall, and every bone on its body was like a terrifying weapon. On its back, there was a pair of white bone wings that spanned 3,000 to 4,000 meters. Its body was filled with an intense murderous aura. A pinnacle immortal king aura could be felt. Wang Xian looked over and his eyes shone. Wang. Located on the head of this terrifying monster, Masha flew out from it with an excited face. At this time, Skyarray Orochi, Duanji Ming and the rest also walked in. Is it done? Wang Xian walked over and asked with a smile. Greetings, Dragon King. As soon as he walked over, the humanoid monster went down on one knee and greeted Wang Xian. Dragon King, it's done. It has inherited the strength of the pinnacle immortal king god king abyss species. You are the leader, and you can also enter and control it. Skyarray walked over and said with a smile. It does feel like a mech. Wang Xian placed his palm on its body, and a wave of information was transmitted to him. He moved and entered its body. In the next moment, Wang Xian appeared on its head and could control it with a thought. Similarly, even if he did not control it, it could still fight on its own when in danger. Inside it, Wang Xian's attacks were not affected at all. It was magical. That's strong. I'll call you Dragon Tool from now on, Wang Xian said plainly. Although this kind of thing was fancy, at least at this stage, the Dragon Tool was a powerful combat subordinate. It was also a strong bodyguard. Just nice. My strength has yet to reach the pinnacle immortal king god king. With this, I won't be afraid of pinnacle immortal king existences. Wang Xian chuckled. He was relying on external things. He felt like a tycoon. Chapter 2697. Dragon King, what do you think? Isn't it amazing? Haha. There's a powerful poison in there that the 8 limitless God King realm, and I placed on the bones. As long as you injure the enemy, the poison will enter the enemy's body. Even 9th Order Immortal King realm experts will be injured, and 8th Order immortals will die instantly. Inside the Dragon King Palace, Missouri Shaw smiled and took credit. Your poison is useless. 8th and 9th Order Undying God Kings can't even defend against a dragon weapon. Your poison isn't even comparable to the fiery gold sword and fiery gold hook forged by Duan Jinming and the rest. Tianjun said with a chuckle. Demon Fiend pursed his lips and did not continue speaking. Speaking of which, their poison was indeed of little value. It couldn't be helped. Currently, the weakest department in the entire Dragon Palace was the Dragon Guard Division, Roving Yiksha, and the Demon Fiend Division. In the Dragon Palace, he was considered a weakling who could only fight one rank higher than him. The fiery gold sword and the fiery gold hook were modified by Duan Jinming, and the others from the dragon's body and bones. They could increase the dragon's battle prowess. The current dragon machine was much stronger than before. Wang Xian was very satisfied with the dragon equipment. It was much more suitable than using it to enhance the strength of the members of the Dragon Palace. Dragon King, the Imperial Court announced something on the artificial intelligence system. At this moment, Prime Minister Turtle walked over and spoke to Wang Xian. What is it? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow and asked Prime Minister Turtle. I just announced that the Imperial Court is recruiting experts. We welcome any expert from the Imperial Star region to come to the Deep Abyss to make contributions. It says that as long as we come to the Imperial Court and kill the Abyss demons, we can accumulate Imperial Court merit points. Merit points are very useful. Right now, the entire Imperial Star region is boiling over. As Prime Minister Turtle spoke, he waved his arm, and the image released by the Imperial Court appeared. At the same time, there were some discussions about this announcement. Wang Xian looked over. Just as expected, the Imperial Court had just released a notice regarding the full artificial intelligence system. The Imperial Court's announcement caused the entire Imperial Star region to boil. The main reason was that as long as one had enough merit points, they could become a disciple of the Imperial Court. In fact, as long as one had enough merit points, they would be able to exchange for many precious treasures that would drive people crazy. The Imperial Dynasty actually opened the Imperial Dynasty treasury, and as long as one has merits, one can exchange for it. This foundation is truly terrifying. Wang Xian's face was filled with shock. There were thousands of pages of items to be exchanged, and each page contained thousands of treasures. Even Wang Xian was envious of the treasures inside. Other than these treasures, there were cultivation techniques, guidance from experts, and some cultivation treasures that could be exchanged for with merit points. However, although the countless treasures were tempting, many people also realized that the abyss of the Imperial Court was extremely dangerous. Even the Imperial Court was using such a method to gather experts. One could imagine how dangerous the abyss was. Imperial Dynasty's decree will probably attract many experts over. Wang Xian murmured. He gathered all the experts of the Imperial Star region. As long as they killed an abyss seed, they would be rewarded with merits. This was a good opportunity for many people to become famous. Once he made a name for himself here, everyone in the Imperial Star region would know about him. He became famous in one battle. Meritorious deeds and fame were fatally attractive to many experts, even if he knew it would be very dangerous. Dragon King, should we send some experts over? Said Prime Minister Turtle. The Imperial Court's announcement of gathering all the heroes in the world was very attractive to the Dragon Palace. In the Imperial Court, merit points were exchanged with Abyss Seed crystals. Based on Prime Minister Turtle's calculations, one Abyss Seed crystal would be slightly higher than the market price. The Dragon Palace could definitely send people over to kill Abyss Seeds in exchange for merit points and elixirs. Before sending people over, we need to understand a little more. Wang Xian said plainly. He took out the computer and sent a message to Emperor Star Lady. Not long after, the Emperor Star Maiden sent him a long reply. The content was about the current situation over at the Imperial Court. She was currently at the Abyss battlefield between the Imperial Court and the Cold Night Island. As the princess of the Imperial Court, she didn't head to the core battlefield. Instead, she was at a relatively safe place. Based on what she said, the situation over there was a little cruel. It was a fact that an undying god king from the Imperial Court had fallen. Moreover, the Abyss Seeds over there were different from the northern battlefront. The Abyss Seeds there knew how to create terrains and use the battlefield. They even had unique artifacts. At the entrance of the Abyss, there were all sorts of huge Abyss meteorites floating in the air. These meteorites were extremely tough. There were even some Abyss forests floating in the air. The Abyss Seeds used these terrains to expand the Abyss. If they wanted to stop them, they had to enter the Abyss to hunt. After entering, it was hard to say who was the prey and who was the hunter. Therefore, the Imperial Court had suffered huge losses. Based on what Emperor Star Lady knew, the Imperial Court had lost no less than 100,000 undying god kings in the 2 months since the war started. This was a huge number. Therefore, facing such losses, the Imperial Court opened the treasury to attract experts from the Imperial Star region to ease the pressure. They know how to create terrains and have already lost no less than 100,000 undying god king Abyss Seeds. How terrifying! Wang Xian's eyes flashed. Under such circumstances, it wasn't worth it for the experts of Dragon Palace to go over, because the Imperial Court didn't have the upper hand in the Abyss War. Even if Dragon Palace combined all their forces, they wouldn't be able to change the situation. Wang Xian, are you coming over? This time, the Imperial Court has promised many benefits. You can bring the experts of Dragon Palace over to take a look. At this moment, Emperor Star Lady sent another message. Should I go over to take a look? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows as he pondered deeply. Alright, send me a location. I'll go over to take a look in a few days. After thinking for a while, he decided to go over to the Imperial Court. If the situation wasn't too dangerous, he could call some experts from Dragon Palace over. If the situation was too dangerous, he could lead a few experts to kill some powerful undying god king Abyss Seeds. Killing a few ranked 9 undying god kings would be a huge boost for Dragon Palace. When Emperor Star Lady heard that Wang Xian was coming, she was overjoyed and immediately sent him a location. Prime Minister Turtle, let Roving Sword bring 2 dragon guards and Roving Heavens. I'm preparing to head over to the Imperial Court to take a look. Wang Xian looked at the location sent by Emperor Star Lady and said to Prime Minister Turtle, Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle nodded. Soon, Roving Sword, Roving Heavens and 2 dragon guards walked over. The 2 dragon guards had rank 9 undying god king strength. As for Roving Heavens, he had reached the pinnacle of god king strength. Chapter 2698. Let's go to the Imperial Court. Wang Xian led Roving Heavens and the 3 dragon guards to the teleportation formation. Currently, there were only people from Dragon Palace on planet Gudian. On this planet, there was a teleportation formation that led to the Imperial Court. The 5 of them entered the teleportation formation and disappeared instantly. When they reappeared, they were already on a planet of the Imperial Court. Welcome to the Imperial Court, heroes. Just as they walked out, a mechanical voice sounded. Wang Xian was taken aback by the voice as he looked around. There was a huge and eye-catching sign in front of him that said, Welcome to the Imperial Court, heroes of the Imperial Star Domain. Seems like the Imperial Court values the experts from other places in the Imperial Star Domain very much. Wang Xian murmured. My lords, are you from the Chasm battlefield? At this moment, a beautiful lady walked over and asked them respectfully. Yes. Wang Xian nodded. My lords, we have a special teleportation formation that leads to the Chasm battlefield directly. Please follow me. The beautiful lady led Wang Xian and the rest to the side. Seems like the Imperial Court is well prepared. Wang Xian said plainly. This planet was only one of the subordinate planets of the Imperial Court. This subordinate planet had a teleportation array that led directly to the battlefield. It was obvious that the Imperial Court had made sufficient preparations to welcome the arrival of the powerful cultivators of the Imperial Star region. Yes, my lord. Those who came to the Chasm battlefield are the heroes of the Imperial Star Domain. Naturally, the Imperial Court is well prepared. The teleportation formation is just ahead. I wish you all the best in the Chasm battlefield, and make a name for yourselves. The beautiful lady bowed and said respectfully. This is much more convenient. Wang Xian walked towards the teleportation formation directly. He originally thought it would take a few days to get it. It would only take tens of minutes, which was very convenient. The moment he stepped into the teleportation formation, he didn't even have to pay the divine stones. There are so many people. Seems like there are many experts coming to the Chasm battlefield this time. The treasures that the Imperial Court brought out this time are too attractive. Even many undying god kings in seclusion have rushed over. Everyone in the world knows about this battle. I heard that the Imperial Dynasty created a hero ranking, and people are ranked based on merit. This attracted many experts who want to rise up. As long as one accumulates enough merit points, one can join the Imperial Court. Many people want to jump through the Dragon Gate. I heard that Pingyi Island's Heavenly Sword King also came. I wonder if it's true. That's a peak undying god king existence. Soon they heard bustling noises. Wang Xian and the rest appeared in a huge square. This plaza was so big that there was no end to it. The entire planet must have been used as a teleportation formation. In the sky, there were 4 big words, Heroes Gather. In the surrounding area, there were many more eye-catching buildings. The names of the buildings were all the same, Merit Exchange Office. There are quite a few experts here. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the surroundings and revealed a surprised look. With a glance, there were at least 4,000 to 5,000 undying god kings. Seems like there might be hundreds of thousands, or even more undying god kings attending this hero gathering. He murmured. The Imperial Star Domain was huge. This time, the danger of the abyss mainly came from the Imperial Court and the 3 islands. Other places were not affected. In the boundless Imperial Star Domain, no one knew how many experts were hidden. Not to mention others, there were at least 1 million experts above the God King realm. What the Imperial Court brought out this time was indeed very attractive. Come, let's go to the planet in front. Wang Xian took a look at the position on the artificial intelligence system. With a swift move, he flew towards the planet ahead. There were hundreds of planets in front of him. These planets were arranged in a row and experts could be seen flying on them. In front of these hundreds of planets were meteorites of all shapes and sizes, densely packed together. In the depths of the meteorites, roars could be heard. That was the abyss. Within the abyss, there were experts coming in and out from time to time. On this planet, Wang Xian came to the top of a planet and sensed the location of the Dragon Palace members. He immediately flew over. Not long ago, Wang Xian sent an 8th Order Undying God King and 3 7th Order Undying God Kings to follow the Emperor Star Maiden. Wang Xian came to the top of a palace. His yin-yang 5 elements dragon eyes swept across and landed in a large hall. There were over a dozen people in the hall, including the Emperor Star Maiden. He did not greet them. Instead, he moved and landed in front of the hall. His gaze swept across the surroundings, and he immediately walked inside. Inside the hall, there were over a dozen young and middle-aged men sitting there. When they saw Wang Xian suddenly appear, they were slightly stunned. The Emperor Star Maiden stood up immediately, her face filled with joy. Who are you? A young man sized Wang Xian up and asked with a slight frown. Wang Xian. But at this moment, the Emperor Star Maiden stood up and walked towards Wang Xian with joy on her face. How did you get here so quickly? The Emperor Star Maiden walked to his side and grabbed his arm. Your Imperial Court's teleportation formation is quite convenient. I arrived in less than 10 minutes. Wang Xian said indifferently. Star Maiden, who is he? In the hall, the crowd was shocked to see Wang Xian. It was especially so for the young man who spoke just now. When he saw the Emperor Star Maiden holding the arm of a young man intimately, his face turned ugly. He sized Wang Xian up and asked with a gloomy face. Him. Seeing the gloomy face of the young man, the Emperor Star Maiden smirked and said, My friend. Sorry, my friend is here. I have to entertain him. Brother Masari. Let's talk tomorrow. As she spoke, she waved to the few middle-aged men beside her and pulled Wang Xian's arm. Let's go. I have to entertain you well. Wang Xian looked at her with a smile and followed behind. Behind them, the young man's expression changed as he looked at this scene with uncertainty. The other few middle-aged men looked at Wang Xian with contemplation. After exchanging glances, they left immediately. Go and find out the identity of that young man. Seeing the Emperor Star Maiden and Wang Xian disappearing, the young man clenched his fists and shouted to the two middle-aged men beside him. Yes, young master. The two middle-aged men nodded immediately. I've just arrived and you're already using me as a shield. That's not a good idea. Following the Emperor Star Maiden to a courtyard, Wang Xian smiled and said to her. That guy is too disgusting. He's not as handsome as you, but he wants to be a toad lusting after a swan. Humph. The Emperor Star Maiden lifted her head slightly and snorted. Chapter 2699. Given your identity and strength, there are still people who dare to mess with you? Wang Xian came to a room in the courtyard, sat there and asked with a smile. Others wouldn't dare, but this guy's identity isn't simple. Emperor Star Maiden shook her head. Oh, what identity? You're the princess of the current generation of Imperial Court. Wang Xian asked curiously. That guy's identity is simple too. He's from the Night Clan of Cold Night Island. His father rose in his old age and had a son. He's the current leader of the Night Clan, a pinnacle Undying God King expert. His grandfather is also a pinnacle Undying God King expert. Besides, there's a pinnacle Undying God King old ancestor above him. Right now, the Night Clan is the most powerful force on the Cold Night Island. They can be said to be the strongest force apart from the Imperial Court. As for that young Emperor Yi, no one dares to mess with him on Cold Night Island. He's used to being arrogant. Even I can't go overboard with people like him. Emperor Star Maiden said. There was one more thing she didn't mention. Her father had a pretty good relationship with the Night Clan. Although she didn't acknowledge her father, she was still his daughter in the eyes of the other experts in Imperial Court. Oh, Night Clan of Cold Night Island, you're looking for trouble. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and said. Hee, no matter how powerful the Night Clan is, we still have to see who the handsome guy in front of us is. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace is the leader of the Dragon Palace who defeated the World Edge sect. How can a disciple of the younger generation compare to our Dragon King? Even if our Dragon King killed that young Emperor Yi, would the Night Clan dare to declare war on Dragon Palace? They wouldn't dare. The Emperor Star Maiden poured a cup of tea for him and said with a smile. More tea. Wang Xian leaned back on the chair, took a sip and said plainly. All right. Emperor Star Maiden immediately poured more tea with a face full of smiles. Just as Emperor Star Maiden said, no matter how strong that young Emperor Yi was, he was just an eternal god lord. He wasn't on the same level as Wang Xian. The Night Clan was strong, and even had 5 to 6 pinnacle Undying God King experts. But they still had to be cautious against Dragon Palace. If Wang Xian really killed young Emperor Yi, the Night Clan might not dare to declare war on Dragon Palace. After all, once the battle started, it wouldn't just be 1 or 2 people who would die. Even the Undying God Kings would die in the tens of thousands. World's Edge was a good example. Alright, I came here mainly to check out the situation here. If it's not too dangerous, I'm going to hunt down some powerful abyss species and exchange them for some medicinal pills, said Wang Xian to the Emperor Star Maiden. I've told you everything I know. You can send someone to investigate. The Emperor Star Maiden sat by the side and took out some food as she spoke to Wang Xian. Yes. Wang Xian nodded his head. Star Lady. At this moment a voice came from outside. The Emperor Star Maiden was slightly taken aback when she heard this voice. Senior sister, please come in, she said immediately. Star Lady, there will be a hero gathering in a few days. Let's go there then. This is? Outside, 5 or 6 middle-aged women walked in. As they spoke to the Emperor Star Maiden, they were taken aback when they saw Wang Xian at the side. Greetings, Dragon King. The few of them obviously knew Wang Xian. They immediately cupped their fists and greeted him respectfully. They are? Wang Xian looked at the Emperor Star Maiden and asked curiously. Wang Xian, these are the senior sisters from the imperial court. They used to be the princess. In fact, there's a huge gap in our seniority. However, we address each other as senior sisters and junior sisters. I'm currently fighting with a group of senior sisters. They have been taking good care of me. The Emperor Star Maiden introduced softly to Wang Xian. Nice to meet you. Wang Xian nodded his head slightly. Among the 6 women before him, the strongest was a 7th Order Undying God King. Each of them looked elegant and dignified, just like the Empress of the Celestial Dynasty. The former princess was also a dazzling existence in the past. The current Emperor Star Maiden had completely broken away from the circle of her generation. She had formed a circle with the previous princess. With the support of the Dragon Palace and the Astral Beast, the Emperor Star Maiden with limitless potential was naturally very popular. The previous princess had also taken good care of her. Senior sisters, please take a seat. What's the situation with the hero gathering? Asked the Emperor Star Maiden as she looked at the 6 of them. Star Maiden, the hero gathering is planned by some experts from the imperial court. It will be held 3 days later. There will be many experts coming over in the next few days. Some experts from the imperial court would like to recruit some experts through this opportunity. Of course, even if it's just a collaboration, it's a great opportunity for some experts from the imperial court. One of the middle-aged women introduced to the Emperor Star Maiden. The hero gathering was a platform for the experts from the imperial court to interact with the experts from the outside world. If they were lucky, the experts from the imperial court could recruit some experts as their subordinates. Even if they were unlucky, they could still find some experts to work with. Working together to hunt the abyss demons was better than working alone. As for the experts from the outside world, they also hoped to build a relationship with the experts from the imperial court. They also hoped to obtain more information from the experts from the imperial court. Therefore, most of the experts from the outside world would come over. Let's see if we can recruit some subordinates or partners for our team, Feng Bujue said the middle-aged woman. We'll have to take a look then. The Emperor Star Maiden nodded her head. Given your current fame, I believe many people will be willing to submit to you. However, since the Dragon King is here, it doesn't matter if anyone submits to you. As the middle-aged women spoke, they looked at Wang Xian and chuckled. No way. I have to rely on my own efforts. The Emperor Star Maiden smiled and shook her head. In that case, we won't disturb you and the Dragon King. The 6 of them chuckled and walked out. How's the harvest? Wang Xian asked the Emperor Star Maiden as he watched them leave. Not bad. I killed 2 7th Order Immortal King Realm Abyss demons, and 5 6th Order Immortal King Realm Abyss demons. It's a pity that my battlefield serpent is too big. I basically had to rely on the 4 brothers from the Dragon Palace. The Emperor Star Maiden said with embarrassment. Although she had gained a lot, she basically watched the 4 members from the Dragon Palace fight from afar. She couldn't get involved at all. Instead, the members of the Dragon Palace had to take care of her and prevent her from being ambushed. Who asked you to be too weak? Just kill some Immortal King Realm Abyss demons. Don't take the risk. Wang Xian reminded the Emperor Star Maiden. I know. Don't worry, I know my limits. Are you going to the hero gathering 3 days later? You can just watch the show. The Emperor Star Maiden asked. I'll see, said Wang Xian. He didn't have much interest in the hero gathering. His main objective these few days was to investigate the situation of the abyss. Chapter 2700. Wang Xian, one of them is Sky Sword King, and the other is One-Armed Blade. The group walked towards the center. The Emperor Star Maiden saw the two figures in the center, and said to Wang Xian, "Oh." Wang Xian looked over, and saw an old man, and a middle-aged man with one arm. The old man looked very ordinary. He did not have the slightest aura, and his might was reserved. The other was a middle-aged man with one arm hugging a huge saber. He stood there expressionlessly, and exuded a murderous aura. It would be easy for an expert of such a realm to recover his broken arm. Wang Xian couldn't understand why he hadn't recovered. They were invited by our imperial court and knight clan. The Emperor Star Maiden said softly. Wang Xian nodded his head slightly at the side. It was impossible for such an expert to come without an invitation or enticement. Over here. At this moment, a senior sister of the Emperor Star Maiden stopped and said to them. They stopped. That former princess waved her arm, and a message floated beside them. A team formed by 7 princesses of the imperial court. The strongest is an undying god king with a rank 8 combat strength, 8 rank 7 combat strength, 15 rank 6 combat strength. Now recruiting heroes. Experts can cooperate with each other. A slightly vulgar message floated in the air. However, it was the same everywhere, displaying the strength of their team to attract experts to join them. Wang Xian looked around and saw many teams formed by imperial court experts recruiting their subordinates and partners in the same way. The team led by the Emperor Star Maiden was considered one of the stronger ones. The 7 princesses represented the strongest women of the imperial court in 7 generations. Their arrival attracted many people's attention. Star Maiden, let Lily and the rest stay here. We'll look for some experts and invite them to join us. One of the princesses said to the Emperor Star Maiden. All right, the Emperor Star Maiden nodded. A portion of them waited for experts to arrive, while they took the initiative to recruit some. Wang Xian followed by the side and looked around. The variety of experts from the Imperial Star Domain was an eye-opener for Wang Xian. Everyone, are you interested in joining our team? Soon, the Emperor Star Maiden and the rest found a target. 5 of them exuded the aura of an undying god king at rank 5 or rank 6. Seeing the 5 of them, the Emperor Star Maiden and the other princesses went up and tried to recruit them. Wang Xian took a glance before continuing to look around. What kind of existence is that? At this moment, Wang Xian was attracted by a group of heavenly demons. These creatures should be considered as heavenly demons. The reason why he used probably was because that group of sky demons was simply too strange. It had black skin, a humanoid shape and blood-red eyes. It had a row of huge white teeth, and its mouth took up half of its head. 3 to 4 meters wasn't very big. Their bodies were like liquid. The most attractive thing about them was the dense aura coming from their bodies. The space around them seemed to be corroding. This is poison liquid, an extremely unique race that lives within the poison sea. To think that this race would be here as well. Venom belongs to a special race in the Imperial Star region. The liquid in their bodies is poison. Based on how much poison they have, we can determine their strength. The more poison they absorb, the stronger they become. However, creatures like Venom do not seem to be too strong. Voices of conversation could be heard from the side. Venom? Aquatic creatures? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. He was curious about this marine species. Suddenly, Wang Xian's eyes fell on the back of the group of Venom. There were more than 50 venomous liquids, and in the last position, there was one that was relatively short. He was the size of an ordinary human, less than 2 meters tall. However, his body was darker and emitted a corrosive smell. The smell on his body was slightly unpleasant. Moreover, he was 5 meters away from the rest of the Venom. With every step he took, he would leave a trace of corrosion. What attracted Wang Xian's attention was the position in front of his chest. There was a strange thing on his chest. It was different from the other Venom. The other Venom had nothing special on their chest, but his chest had a body that looked like the tail of an insect. This body that looked like the tail of an insect grew abruptly in front of his chest. It looked very strange. However, the body that had half a tail gave Wang Xian a very familiar feeling. In fact, it even had a strong attraction. This made his eyes shine. What a surprise! He raised his eyebrows and walked towards the group of venom. Just as Wang Xian walked towards the group of venom, a young man not far away saw Wang Xian walking towards the group of venom, while staring at the Emperor Star Maiden. Haven't found any information about him? The young man, young Emperor Yi, frowned and asked a middle-aged man beside him. Young master, we haven't found anything yet. He shouldn't be from the imperial court. Trash. As the middle-aged man spoke, Yi Xiaohuang interrupted him with a cold expression. Is he trying to recruit the venom race? Young Emperor Yi raised his eyebrows when he saw Wang Xian walking to the front of the group of venom. Young master, the venom race is too poisonous. They might accidentally injure their comrades in battle. Normally, no experts would be willing to fight alongside them. The middle-aged man beside him said, Let's go over. His lips curled as he looked at the Emperor Star Maiden, before turning to the group of venom. Everyone. Wang Xian walked up to the front of the group of venom. He shifted his gaze from the special venom to the leader. You're a disciple of the imperial court. If you want to recruit us, please call for the experts from the imperial court. The leader of the venom race said straightforwardly when he saw Wang Xian walking in front of them. I'm not a disciple of the imperial court. Wang Xian shook his head. With a gentle wave of his arm, a surge of energy stirred the black liquid on his body. The leader of the venom race had a slight change in his expression as fear flashed in his eyes. Sir, may I know who you are? The leader of the venom race asked respectfully. I'm here to recruit you. Wang Xian looked at them and said directly when he saw the special venom at the back. The leader of the venom race was taken aback. Our Knight clan would also like to recruit you guys from the venom race. At this moment a voice came from the side. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and looked to the side. When he saw the young man, he revealed a smile. Knight clan. The leader of the venom race was taken aback as he sized up young Emperor Yi. Our young master is called young Emperor Yi. It's your honor to recruit you guys. A middle-aged man behind young Emperor Yi said plainly. Young Emperor Yi, who was standing at the front, lifted his head slightly with a proud look on his face. Chapter 2701. Wang Xian. The two in front are Sky Sword King and One-Armed Blade. The group walked towards the center. Emperor Star Maiden saw the two figures in the center and said to Wang Xian, Oh. Wang Xian looked over and saw an old man and a middle-aged man with one arm. The old man looked very ordinary. He did not have the slightest aura, and his might was reserved. The other middle-aged man held a huge saber in one arm and stood there expressionlessly. He exuded a murderous aura. It would be easy for an expert of such a realm to recover his broken arm. Wang Xian couldn't understand why he hadn't recovered. They were invited by our imperial court and Knight clan. Emperor Star Maiden said softly. Wang Xian nodded his head slightly at the side. It was impossible for such an expert to come without an invitation or enticement. Over here. At this moment, a senior sister of Emperor Star Maiden stopped and said to them. They stopped. That former princess waved her arm, and a message floated beside them. A team formed by 7 princesses of the imperial court. The strongest expert is an undying god king with a rank 8 combat strength, 8 rank 7 combat strength, 15 rank 6 combat strength. Now recruiting heroes. Experts can work together. A slightly vulgar message floated in the air. However, it was the same everywhere else. Displaying the strength of their team to attract experts to join them. Wang Xian looked around and saw many teams formed by imperial court experts recruiting their subordinates and partners in the same way. Emperor Star Maiden's team was considered one of the stronger ones. The 7 princesses represented the strongest women of the imperial court in 7 generations. Their arrival attracted many people's attention. Star Maiden, let Lily and the rest stay here. We'll look for some experts to invite them to join us. A princess said to Emperor Star Maiden. All right. Emperor Star Maiden nodded. A portion of them waited for experts to arrive while they took the initiative to recruit some. Wang Xian followed by the side and looked around. The variety of experts from the Imperial Star Domain was an eye-opener for Wang Xian. Everyone, are you interested in joining our team? Soon, Emperor Star Maiden and the rest found a target. 5 of them exuded the aura of an undying god king at rank 5 or rank 6. Seeing the 5 of them, Emperor Star Maiden and that princess went up and tried to recruit them. Wang Xian took a look before continuing to look around. What kind of existence is that? At this moment, Wang Xian was attracted by a group of heavenly demons. These creatures should be considered as heavenly demons. The reason why he used probably was because that group of sky demons was simply too strange. It had black skin and a humanoid shape. Its eyes were blood red, and it had a row of huge white teeth. Its mouth took up half of its head. 3 to 4 meters wasn't very big. Their bodies were like liquid. The most attractive thing about them was the dense aura coming from their bodies. The space around them seemed to be corroding. This is poison liquid, an extremely unique race that lives within the poison sea. To think that this race would be here as well. Venom belongs to a special race in the Imperial Star region. The liquid in their bodies is poison. Based on how much poison they have, we can determine their strength. The more poison they absorb, the stronger they become. However, creatures like Venom do not seem to be too strong. Voices of conversation could be heard from the side. Venom? Aquatic creatures? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. He was curious about this marine species. Suddenly, Wang Xian's eyes fell on the back of the group of Venom. There were more than 50 venomous liquids. And in the last position, there was one that was relatively short in size. He was the size of an ordinary human, less than 2 meters tall. However, his body was darker and emitted a corrosive smell. The smell on his body was slightly unpleasant. Moreover, he was 5 meters away from the rest of the Venom. Every step he took left a trail of corrosion under his feet. What attracted Wang Xian's attention was the position in front of his chest. There was a strange thing on his chest. It was different from the other Venom. The other Venom had nothing special on their chest. However, his chest had a body that looked like the tail of an insect. This body that looked like the tail of an insect grew abruptly in front of his chest. It looked very strange. However, the body that had half a tail gave Wang Xian a very familiar feeling. In fact, it even had a strong attraction. This made his eyes shine. What a surprise! He raised his eyebrows and walked towards the group of Venom. Just as Wang Xian walked towards the group of Venom, a young man not far away saw Wang Xian walking towards the group of Venom, while staring at the Emperor Star Maiden. Haven't found any information about him? The young man, young Emperor Yi, frowned and asked a middle-aged man beside him. Young master, we haven't found anything yet. He shouldn't be from the Imperial Court. Trash. As the middle-aged man spoke, Yi Xiaohuang interrupted him with a cold expression. Is he trying to recruit the Venom race? Young Emperor Yi raised his eyebrows when he saw Wang Xian walking to the front of the group of Venom. Young master, the Venom race is too poisonous. They might accidentally injure their comrades in battle. Normally, no experts would be willing to fight alongside them. The middle-aged man beside him said. Let's go over. The corner of his lips arched. He took a look at the Emperor Star Maiden, before turning to the group of Venom. Everyone. Wang Xian walked up to the front of the group of Venom. He shifted his gaze from the special Venom to the leader. You're a disciple of the Imperial Court? If you want to recruit us, please call for the experts from the Imperial Court. The leader of the Venom race said straightforwardly when he saw Wang Xian walking in front of them. I'm not a disciple of the Imperial Court. Wang Xian shook his head. With a gentle wave of his arm, a surge of energy stirred the black liquid on his body. The expression of the leader of the Venom race changed slightly as fear flashed in his eyes. Sir, may I know who you are? The leader of the Venom race immediately asked respectfully. Recruiting you guys. Wang Xian looked at them and said directly when he saw the special Venom at the back. The leader of the Venom race was taken aback. Our Knight clan would also like to recruit you guys from the Venom race. At this moment a voice came from the side. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and looked to the side. When he saw the young man, he revealed a smile. Knight clan. The leader of the Venom race was taken aback as he sized up young Emperor Yi. Our young master is called young Emperor Yi. It's your honor to recruit you guys. A middle-aged man behind young Emperor Yi said plainly. Young Emperor Yi, who was standing in front, lifted his head slightly with a proud look on his face. Chapter 2702. There was no pop-up window for free reading. Leader. This young man seems to be the young master of the Night Clan. One of the venomous liquids beside the leader looked at young Emperor Yi and said respectfully, the Night Clan occupied more than half of the cold Night Island. The ancestor of the Night Clan, Yi Lung, was once a void god emperor expert in the Imperial Star region. Even after his fall, the Night Clan was still extremely powerful. This was the border between the central region of the Imperial Court and the cold Night Island. Naturally, there would be experts from the cold Night Island at the Heroes Gathering this time. The young master of the Night Clan could be said to be the second generation with the most authority in the entire Imperial Star region. Even the princes and princesses of the Imperial Court might not be as high as young Emperor Yi. After all, his father, grandfather, and an old ancestor were all peak Immortal God King experts. Moreover, the relationship between the Imperial Court and the Night Clan was rather good. Some of the Divine King experts of the Imperial Court were also polite to young Emperor Yi. Follow me into battle. I will treat you like a talent recruitment event in the Imperial Star region. If you feel that you can't do it in the future, you can leave. Young Emperor Yi said plainly to the leader of the venomous liquids. It's our honor to follow young Master Yi. The leader of the venomous liquids was relieved when he heard young Emperor Yi, and replied respectfully. Great. Young Emperor Yi squinted his eyes and arched his lips as he looked at Wang Xian. Wang Xian smiled in disdain and ignored him. He walked straight to the special liquids at the back. The venomous liquids looked around warily. When he saw Wang Xian walking over, he shrank back and stared at him. Are you interested in following me? Wang Xian lifted his hand slowly and placed it on his shoulder. When the special liquids saw Wang Xian's palm, they instinctively retreated. However, Wang Xian's palm still landed on his shoulder. A majestic voice rang in his mind, making him shudder. A look of terror appeared on his face. I can help you solve your physical problems. Wang Xian looked at him, and the voice rang in his mind again. You can. He opened his mouth with a hideous look. However, his eyes were filled with excitement. As long as you can solve my physical problems, I'm willing to follow you. I'm willing. The mysterious venom immediately bowed down to Wang Xian. Evidently, his strange body had brought him great trouble. All right, follow me. Wang Xian smiled. Yes, sir. He nodded immediately. Stop. At the front, when young Emperor Yi saw Wang Xian taking away a poisonous liquid, he was shocked and cold. He immediately shouted loudly. Young Master Yi, if he wants to take that trash away, then let him. It's better for this trash to leave. It will save us a lot of trouble. Upon seeing this scene, the Venom leader said to Yi Xiaohuang, Young Master, Du Jiu is just a piece of trash. The toxins in his body are messy, and sometimes he can't even control them. His brain is not normal either. It would be better if he left. Venom, who was at the side, chimed in with a smile. Even if he's a piece of trash, he's still a member of Venom. Since I've recruited him, he must come with me. Not a single one can be missing. When young Emperor Yi heard their words, there was not the slightest change in his expression. He only wanted to recruit this group of Venom, to give a warning to a person, not to actually recruit this group of Venom. He didn't care if Venom was a piece of trash. What he cared about was to let that guy know his prowess. He wanted him to back off in the face of difficulties. Yes. Since young Master Yi said so, let him follow. The Venom leader nodded immediately. The strongest among them was only a fourth-order Immortal God King. Naturally, they wanted to get on young Master Yi's good side. Dujio, get back here and follow young Master Yi. It's your honor that young Master Yi is willing to take you in. The Venom leader looked at Dujio and shouted coldly. Aye. When Dujio heard the Venom leader, his expression changed slightly. If you want to follow me, ignore them. Wang Xian looked at Dujio and said, Sir, I want to follow you. I want you to help me solve the problem with my body. Dujio clenched his fist and said softly, "All right, follow me and you'll be fine." Wang Xian nodded plainly. "Dujio, why are you still standing there? Get over here." When the Venom leader saw that Dujio ignored him, his expression darkened and he roared, "Shut up. He will follow me from now on, and has nothing to do with your Venom clan." Wang Xian looked at the Venom leader and said plainly, "Dujio is one of us. Don't you think it's inappropriate for you to behave like this?" When the Venom leader heard Wang Xian, his expression changed, and he said in a low voice, "There's nothing inappropriate about it." Dujio volunteered. Wang Xian said expressionlessly, "How dare you snatch someone recruited by me, young Master Yi?" When young Master Yi saw that Wang Xian insisted on taking the mysterious venom away, he squinted his eyes and took a step forward. "Hee, let's go." Wang Xian looked at him with disdain and said to Dujio. Dujio nodded and followed behind. "Snatch someone? Stop him." When young Master Yi saw that Wang Xian ignored him, his expression turned cold, and he shouted, "Dujio, stop right there." The Venom leader and the rest of the Venom clan took a few steps forward and shouted at Dujio, "Rumble!" Wang Xian swept a glance at them, and an imposing aura shrouded them. The Venom leader and the rest were shocked and found it difficult to breathe. "Young Master, he's an expert." Behind young Master Yi, the two middle-aged men were shocked and said, "Expert? Hee, how dare you snatch someone in the imperial court? You're courting death. Stop him." He looked at Wang Xian with a slight change in his expression and spoke coldly, "Rumble." The two middle-aged men moved and came before Wang Xian in an instant. They stared at him coldly. "Return the person of our young master immediately. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude." One of the middle-aged men fixed his eyes on Wang Xian and said sternly. Dujio, who was standing at the side, had a huge change in his expression as he retreated back in fear. What's happening? What's this for? Someone dares to create trouble here. How many lives does he have? What's going on? That looks like an expert from the Night Clan. Who is that? The young master of the Night Clan. At this time, the commotion over at Wang Xian's side attracted the attention of many experts. They belonged to the central region, and 90% of the people here were divine kings. Everyone could sense the imposing aura from an expert. Some people looked over, and their faces were filled with surprise. Chapter 2703. Some of them had heard of the young master of the Yi clan, even if they hadn't seen him before. Now that he seemed to be in conflict with someone, their faces were filled with astonishment. Who would dare to offend the young master of the Yi clan? Who's that young man? I don't know him. He looks unfamiliar. Is he a disciple of the imperial court? Even an ordinary disciple of the imperial court wouldn't dare to offend the young master of the Yi clan. Some of them fixed their gazes on Wang Xian with curiosity on their faces. Wang Xian? Dragon King he. When the Emperor Star Maiden and the others saw this, they all had astonished looks on their faces. Emperor Star Maiden frowned as she looked at young Emperor Yi. She walked over hurriedly. This is the heroes gathering organized by the experts of the imperial court. I don't want to cause trouble here, but no one can offend me either. That member of Venom is already my subordinate. Send him over immediately. Otherwise he. Seeing that he had attracted the attention of the surrounding people, young Emperor Yi raised his eyebrows and warned Wang Xian. At the same time, he was telling the experts of the imperial court that he wasn't the one causing trouble here. Someone was trying to snatch his man. Otherwise what? A brat who hasn't even reached the Divine King realm dares to say such words to my master? But just as he finished his sentence, a bone-chilling voice sounded. Young Emperor Yi felt a chill run down his spine, and a cold aura gushed out from the bottom of his heart. Who's that? The two middle-aged men beside him were shocked as they looked to the side. Beishuang, you're here too? However, Wang Xian, who was seated at the side, heard the voice. He looked over and asked with a smile. Yes, master. I'm here to train myself and obtain some treasures. Beishuang walked over and said to Wang Xian. She turned to young Emperor Yi and said, a piece of trash who only relies on his family dares to offend experts? Aren't you afraid of death? You're courting death. Who are you? Young Emperor Yi was infuriated when he heard Bei Shuang. That's the frost goddess. That girl is the frost goddess. That's right. That's her. She was the frost goddess. A few years ago, she became the disciple of the Dragon King. She's already an 8th Order Immortal King, at the age of 30,000. That goddess of frost just addressed that young man as master. Doesn't that mean he's the Dragon King? Hissed so young this. Yi Xiaohuang questioned Bei Shuang's order. Some people in the surroundings looked at Bei Shuang, and were quickly recognized. All of them were surprised. The expressions of young Emperor Yi and his 2 middle-aged men changed greatly after hearing this. Wang Xian, what happened? What is young Emperor Yi doing? At this time, Emperor Star Maiden and the rest also walked over. She glanced at young Emperor Yi, before coming to the front of Wang Xian. Dragon King, Princess, who was standing beside him, greeted Wang Xian respectfully. It's nothing. I saw a good seedling, and was about to bring him into the Dragon Palace. But some small fry tried to stop me. Interesting. Wang Xian shook his head plainly as his gaze fell upon young Emperor Yi. It seems like this young master of the Night Clan lacks upbringing. He should know how high the sky is, and how thick the earth is. He said faintly. Wang Xian's words almost made young Emperor Yi vomit blood. His expression changed drastically as he clenched his fists tightly. Young master, it's the Dragon King. The 2 middle-aged men beside him broke out in cold sweat, as they transmitted their voices. Huff huff. He took a deep breath, and his expression changed. This, Dragon Palace, Dragon King. At the side, the leader of Venom and his clansmen widened their eyes in shock. They naturally knew the weight of the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Palace was well known in the Imperial Star region. Not long ago, they defeated the Sky Edge sect and forced them to flee. The prestige of the Dragon Palace spread throughout the Imperial Star region. How strong would a force that could defeat the Sky Edge sect be? They might not be as strong as the Night Clan. But the young master of the Night Clan wanted to compete with the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace? It was no exaggeration to say that he was not worthy at all. A divine master and a pinnacle expert. There was no comparison. I should have known. The leader of Venom, and the rest felt a little gloomy when they recalled that the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace had personally recruited them. They had chosen young Emperor Yi, and even had a conflict with the Dragon King. The Dragon King had taken a liking to Dujio? That guy, who was trash to them, was said to be a good seedling by the Dragon King. Dragon King. Dujio, who was standing behind Wang Xian, shivered as he stared in disbelief at the figure in front of him. The leader of a large sect had taken a liking to him? It's really the Dragon King. I didn't expect the Dragon King to be here. SSS, that's the leader of a force. I heard that the Dragon Palace is the strongest on the Demon Island. This young Emperor Yi offended the Dragon King, and even scolded him just now? When the surrounding people saw the Emperor Star Princess, and the rest walking over, they could confirm Wang Xian's identity from the way the Emperor Star Princess addressed Wang Xian. Everyone was shocked as they discussed softly. Not far away, even the 2 guardians of the Imperial Court, One-Armed Blade and the Sky Sword King, looked over in surprise. Let's go. Young Emperor Yi shivered as he heard the discussion around him. He said with a gloomy face. Did I say you can leave? Wang Xian said plainly as he watched him leave. Young Emperor Ye's expression changed and the 2 guardians narrowed their eyes. Dragon King, what do you want? Does the Dragon Palace want to be the enemy of the Night Clan? His body shivered as he gritted his teeth, turned around and stared at Wang Xian as he growled. If you can represent the Night Clan, sure. When Wang Xian heard this, he squinted his eyes and replied with a cold tone. Swoosh. When Wang Xian finished his words, everyone's expression changed. Is this young Emperor Yi tired of living? How dare he threaten the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace? This young emperor, Yi must be out of his mind. How dare he say such words? Does he think he's the pinnacle expert of the Night Clan? A few experts from the Imperial Court frowned slightly, and spoke without hiding anything at all. To them, young Emperor Ye's words were no different from an idiot. Young Emperor Yi, think before you speak. Look at who you're talking to. The princess standing beside the emperor's star maiden mocked without any hesitation. Perhaps he was used to being arrogant, and thought that his identity was noble. But you should also look at who you're talking to. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace was the leader of a powerful sect. You're just a disciple of the Divine Master level. Even if you have a strong background, and your father and grandfather are at the pinnacle of the Divine King level, that's not you. How could the dignity of an expert be challenged so easily? The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace would send experts of the Dragon Palace to find a chance to kill you. What could the Night Clan do to the Dragon Palace without any evidence? Start a war just for one person. Chapter 2704. There was no pop-up window for free reading. In the hero's venue, young Emperor Yi turned pale when he heard the voices around him. The experts from the imperial court, Emperor Star Maiden and the princess beside her, were all core figures of the imperial court. They could either give young Emperor Yi face, or slap him in the face on the spot. After all, the imperial court was invincible in terms of background. It wasn't that they didn't give young Emperor Yi face, but that young Emperor Yi was too stupid. In this world, it was still the strong who were respected. If you offended an expert, you wouldn't be able to do anything if that expert found a chance to kill you. Moreover, young Emperor Yi offended the Dragon King of Dragon Palace, the leader of a powerful force. Dragon King, we are in the wrong. Our young master is in the wrong. Please forgive us. When the two middle-aged men beside young Emperor Yi witnessed the situation, they bowed to Wang Xian with grim expressions. Young Emperor Yi stood there with an awful look. He ignorant. Kneel down. When Wang Xian saw young Emperor Yi standing there motionlessly, his aura shook slightly. Plop. Young Emperor Yi's expression changed as he knelt on the ground with a loud thud. His expression changed drastically. He wanted to speak but was forced to hold it in. Young Emperor, apologize to the Dragon King now. At this moment a voice came from the side. An old man and a few middle-aged men walked over. The old man looked at young Emperor Yi with a slight frown and said, Elder. Young Emperor Yi looked over and opened his mouth. Dragon King, our disciple from the Yi clan has offended you. I'll ask him to apologize to you immediately. Please give us some face. The old man cupped his fist and said to Wang Xian, Sure, we still have to give face to the Yi clan. Wang Xian looked at the old man and said plainly before turning to young Emperor Yi, Dragon King, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. Young Emperor Yi lowered his head as he felt the gaze of Wang Xian and the elder of the Yi clan. His body trembled as he apologized. Wang Xian nodded plainly and looked to Bei Shuang. Are you looking for a team? He asked directly. Yes, master. I came here to take a look. If there's a suitable team, I'll join. Bei Shuang nodded. Then let's go together with the Emperor Star Maiden and the others. Wang Xian looked at the Emperor Star Maiden and spoke to her. Yes, master. Bei Shuang nodded. When young Emperor Yi saw that Wang Xian wasn't paying attention to him, he stood up with an awful expression and walked out. Around him, some people looked at him with mockery and disdain. Wow, is Sister Bei Shuang coming with us? That's wonderful. Wang Xian, you were too domineering just now. You asked him to kneel, and he had to kneel. Upon hearing Wang Xian's words, the Emperor Star Maiden replied happily. She looked at Yi Xiaohuang's disheveled back and the smile on her face deepened. Let North Frost go with you. I'll leave a dragon guard behind to protect you later. He won't participate in your battle in the abyss. Wang Xian smiled. As for young Emperor Yi, Wang Xian did not care about him at all. An eternal divine lord young man, even if he was the young master of the Night Clan, was not qualified to be presumptuous in front of him. Given the current status of the Dragon Palace, only the leader of the Night Clan, the guardians of the Imperial Court, and the Laozu of the other sects could talk to Wang Xian on equal footing. Even the experts of the Night Clan would not say anything if such a small fry offended him, because he was not qualified. He was courting death. Ah, you're leaving? The Emperor Star Maiden looked at him with slight disappointment. Yeah, I'm going back for now. Be careful here, and don't take too many risks. Wang Xian reminded her and Bei Shuang. Yes, master. Shuang nodded immediately. Alright, I'll go back first. I'll leave a dragon guard at your place, and bring him along when we go out, said Wang Xian to them as he looked at Dujio beside him. Let's go. I'll bring you to the Dragon Palace. From now on, you'll be a member of the Dragon Palace. He patted Dujio's shoulder and said, Dragon King, aye aye. Dujio stood there with a face full of excitement, not knowing what to do. Thank you, Dragon King. Your future will be beyond your imagination, he said with a smile and walked straight outside. Dujio quickly followed behind him. Dujio was brought back to the Dragon Palace by the Dragon King personally. The leader of Venom stared blankly at the departing Dujio. His expression changed and revealed an envious look. If they had agreed just now, would they have been able to join the Dragon Palace? Leaving just like that? Humph. The Emperor Star Maiden snorted in dissatisfaction when she saw Wang Xian leaving. Star Maiden, the Dragon King said to leave a dragon guard behind to protect you. His strength. At this time, the Emperor Star Maiden looked at the Emperor Star Maiden and asked with anticipation. I don't know how strong he is, but since he said that he won't participate in the battle and will only protect us, he should be at least level 8. The Emperor Star Maiden shook her head. Level 9. Shuang spoke up. She had some understanding of her master's character. To protect them, she was also included. The Emperor Star Maiden was only a level 9 immortal god king. The Emperor Star Maiden's eyes gleamed with excitement. Although they weren't protecting her, they were indirectly protecting them by fighting alongside the Emperor Star Maiden and Shuang. In the upcoming battle, their safety would be greatly guaranteed. After all, no one in the entire imperial court had such treatment. Even young Emperor Yi of the Night clan only had 2 level 8 immortal god king protecting him. At least he has a conscience. Let's go, Sister Shuang. I'll introduce you to some people. With you joining us, our team will be much stronger. The Emperor Star Maiden held Shuang's arm happily as they walked to the side. Shuang smiled and followed by the side. Dragon King, are we going back now? Aren't we going to continue observing? Roving Heavens asked Wang Xian on the teleportation planet. I found a special talent. Let's go back and take a look. Wang Xian looked at Dujio and smiled. Oh, Roving Heavens, Roving Sword, and the rest looked at Venom and raised their eyebrows. Let's go. Wang Xian entered the teleportation array and rushed towards the Dragon Palace. After a transfer, they arrived at the Dragon Palace in no time. Dujio, come over. In a flash, he brought Dujio to the dragon transformation pool. His eyes landed on the tail of the insect queen on Dujio's chest as he revealed a smile. How did the body of this insect queen enter your chest? Wang Xian asked Dujio. Dragon King. I suddenly absorbed this thing when I was absorbing the poison. After I absorbed it, I realized it was growing on my body. I was terrified at that time. Later on, various blurry images would appear in my mind, causing me to lose my mind. Dujio quickly explained. Chapter 2705. The Queen Zerg was one of the top existences in the Zerg race. They had a terrifying ability to parasitize other living beings. The most terrifying thing was that after parasitizing, the Queen Zerg would replace the aura and memories of that living being. From then on, it would completely become a parasite. This ability was extremely terrifying. The reason why Wang Xian could obtain the soul assimilation ability, which had nothing to do with the divine dragon race, was because of this talent of the Queen Zerg. Dujio was either lucky or unlucky. When he was absorbing the poison, he encountered the dead Queen Zerg. When he was absorbing, this powerful existence was not absorbed by him, due to some special characteristics. Instead, this mystical characteristic invaded his body, and even his mind. But because the Queen Zerg was dead and only had a body, this mystical characteristic did not completely invade Dujio's mind. This caused Dujio and the dead Queen Zerg to fuse as one, forming a special existence. Such a special existence was not easy to form. This required the special characteristics of Venom, as well as various other reasons. In other words, mutation. Some mutations were weak, but some were heaven-defying. Venom became stronger by absorbing powerful toxins. To be able to absorb and fuse with the corpse of the Queen Zerg without dying. This was a heaven-defying level of fusion. But this fusion had to be improved. The Dragon Transformation Pool. In the past, the Dragon Pool of the Divine Dragon race did not have such a heaven-defying effect. It was a heaven-defying existence, formed by the fusion of the Zerg race's hive technology. Dugio, enter the Dragon Transformation Pool. Wang Xian looked at the Dragon Transformation Pool. There was some spare dragon blood in it, which was enough to give birth to a 9th-level immortal king. He kept it in case of emergency. Yes, Dragon King. Dugio felt the massive energy in the Dragon Transformation Pool, and jumped in without hesitation. He did not suspect anything. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace would not lie to a small fry like him. Wang Xian stood in the Dragon Transformation Pool, and waited quietly. The Queen Zerg is one of the pinnacle existences of the Zerg race. I wonder what kind of dragon will be formed after fusing with venom. Wang Xian mumbled to himself as he stood there and watched quietly. Time passed slowly, and the dragon blood in the Dragon Transformation Pool was gradually absorbed. Swoosh. It's gone. I feel that the thing that has been lingering in my mind has disappeared. Thank you, Dragon King. Thank you, Dragon King. 5 hours later, Dugio flew out from the Dragon Transformation Pool. Looking at his arm, his face was filled with excitement. Something has changed. At this moment, Wang Xian, who was at the side, looked over with sparkling eyes. Ding! Congratulations to the Dragon Palace for giving birth to a new dragon species, Venomhorn Dragon, 1/10,000. As expected, the system's voice sounded. Venomhorn Dragon. Just from the name alone, I can tell that it's not simple. Wang Xian was filled with anticipation as he looked at Dugio. Compared to the Dugio of the past, the current Dugio had undergone a huge change. 2 horns appeared on its head. These horns looked like insect horns, and they gave off a strange energy. His head was still pitch black, but its appearance was somewhat similar to that of a dragon's head, only more ferocious. His body was humanoid and pitch black just like before. However, his body was like a liquid that could flow away at any time. Dugio, feel your strength. Wang Xian immediately said to him. Yes, Dragon King. Dugio nodded immediately. However, just as he raised his arm, his face was filled with shock. Dragon King, I've gained a new ability, he said in a daze. Huh? What ability? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow and asked. Dragon King, our Venom's previous ability, Poison Fusion, has not changed. However, there's an additional ability, Parasitism. I feel that I can enter the body of other living beings and take over their body. Dugio said with his eyes wide open. Parasitism. Wang Xian's eyes lit up and flickered. This was a very abnormal ability. Wang. At this moment, Dugio's body trembled, and his face was filled with excitement. Dragon King, I feel that my current strength can reach the 4th Order Undying God King realm. I'm clearly in the 1st Order Undying God King realm. His incredulous voice sounded. A 4th Order Undying God King realm battle prowess. Even their tribe leader was only at this level. 3 levels higher, pinnacle dragon species. Wang Xian's eyes lit up. And Dragon King, I feel that this is not my limit. I feel that as long as I absorb more poison, I'll be able to fight against people of higher levels. Can't you feel it? It's similar to the Sky Erase Dragon Witch dragon species, with unlimited potential. Wang Xian's eyes lit up. However, it was hard to improve this kind of ability, but it was enough. What does this 1/10,000 mean? Wang Xian frowned as he looked at the final data in the system notification. Ding! With the Insect Queen and Venom mutation energy, the Dragon Palace can only produce 10,000 Venomhorn dragons. At this moment, the system's reply sounded. The Insect Queen and Venom mutation energy can't be replicated. In other words, the Dragon Palace can only produce 10,000 Venomhorn dragons in the future. Wang Xian murmured. It's a pity. This Venomhorn dragon's ability to parasitize is very strong. It can only produce 10,000, which is too little. Wang Xian shook his head and looked at Dugio's body. Demon Fiend, Yamada, call everyone from the poison-making division 1 over. He sensed the location of Yamada Demon Fiend, and his voice rang in their ears. Yes, Dragon King. Yamada Demon Fiend nodded immediately. Kids, let's go and meet the Dragon King. They waved their hands and rushed towards the dragon transformation pool. Dragon King, what's the matter? Demon Fiend Yamada walked over and asked with a smile. There's a new dragon species in the Dragon Palace, Venomhorn Dragon. It's very compatible with your poison-making division. You guys can change your occupation to Venomhorn Dragons. Wang Xian said. Huh, Dragon King, we want to change our occupation to Venom Dragons. Demon Fiend was stunned for a moment before replying. The possibility of becoming a Venom Dragon is too low. Venomhorn Dragons can fight opponents 3 levels higher than them. If we can get our hands on poison treasures, we can still improve. It's a dragon species above the pinnacle, and has the ability to parasitize. With the current mutated energy, only 10,000 of them can be produced. If you guys don't want to change your occupation, I'll let the other members of the poison-making division do it. That's great. Venomhorn Dragons were born because of Dujio. He'll be in charge of this division in the future. Wang Xian looked at them and said plainly, That's impressive. Gosh, Dragon King, let's go for a spin. We're determined to become Venomhorn Dragons. When the two of them heard Wang Xian, their eyes lit up. Chapter 2706. Dujio, are there any restrictions on parasitizing other living beings? Before the dragon transformation pool of the Dragon Palace, the two of them dashed into the dragon transformation pool excitedly, after playing around for a while. He looked at the bodies of the two men and asked Dujio, who was beside him, with a smile. Dragon King, given my current strength, I can only parasitize those weaker than me. If I want to parasitize those of the same level, I have to injure them severely before parasitizing them. Based on the information in my mind, I can parasitize all living beings, including some plants. Dujio pondered before replying. In that case, the abyss species can also be parasitized? Wang Xian's eyes sparkled as he asked. Yes. Dujio nodded with certainty. If you can parasitize the abyss species? Wang Xian was tempted. The situation over at the Imperial Court was more dangerous. Sending members of the Dragon Palace over would result in great losses. But what if he sent the Venomhorn Dragon? They could enter the body of the abyss species and control the body to kill them in the form of the abyss species. More importantly, after parasitizing the abyss species, they could investigate the situation of the abyss species. With the information of the abyss species, the Dragon Palace could find a way to wipe them all out. At the thought of this, his eyes glowed. Prime Minister Turtle, use all your resources to gather resources. Ask Broken Sky and Nine Heavens if they are willing to continue exchanging planets. We can do it at a cheaper price. Also, find out if there are any dire beasts on the Devil Islands. Send the experts of the Dragon Palace to hunt them down. Focus on upgrading the members of the Poison Department. Wang Xian called Prime Minister Turtle over and instructed him. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle nodded and went to gather resources. Currently, the resources in the Dragon Transformation Pool could only support the Demon Sha Orochi and 1,000 other members to complete their job transitions. The Dragon Palace needed to gather more resources for the members of the Poison Department to complete their job transitions. There weren't many members in the Poison Department, only about 2,000. Among these 2,000, there were only a dozen Undying God Kings, while the rest were God Lords. It couldn't be helped. The Poison Department was the weakest dragon species. They were the last to get the resources from the Dragon Palace. Even for Ba No and Mo Sha, both of them were merely at the 7th Order Undying God King realm, and their poison could threaten Type 9 experts. However, if they were to release it themselves, it would be easily dodged. The two of them were the weakest among the group of leaders. After all, they could only fight one level higher. If not for Wang Xian's special treatment towards them, it would have been a miracle for them to reach the 4th or 5th Order Undying God King realm. But this time, they would have the battle prowess of an Undying God King. That was enough to keep up with the other leaders. Jia. I've succeeded in my job advancement. I've finally risen. A few hours later, The arrogant voices of Orochi and Demonsha resounded from the dragon transformation pool. Hee, thank you for your guidance, Dragon King. The two of them flew to the side of the dragon transformation pool and greeted Wang Xian with smiles. Very good. Next, we will greatly increase the strength of your poison department. Also, you should understand the abilities you've obtained. The upcoming battle of the abyss will depend on you, Wang Xian said with a smile. Don't worry, Dragon King. In the upcoming battle of the abyss, we will live as parasites on the abyssal species and let them kill each other. Jia. In the upcoming battle, the venom-horn dragons will be taken over by our poison department. Orochi and Demonsha were sly and cunning people. Naturally, they knew the best use of the abilities they had obtained. Not bad. Also, Dujio will follow you guys in the future. It's all thanks to him that you guys could become venom-horn dragons. Wang Xian continued speaking to them. Don't worry, Dragon King. Leave Dujio to us. Haha, little brother, let's go. We'll bring you around the Dragon Palace. When you join the Dragon Palace in the future, you'll be under our protection. Don't be afraid of anyone. Even in the Dragon Palace, other than Sky Array and Roving Heavens who are stronger than us, we can ignore them. Jia. The two of them walked to Dujio's side excitedly and placed their arms around his shoulders. This left Dujio at a loss. Based on his senses, the two perverted fellows beside him were both Ninth Order Undying God King realm. Would they lead him astray if they looked so perverted? Over the next few days, the Dragon Palace sold all the planets they owned. It was a huge discount sale. When the Abyss invaded, 9 firmaments and Broken Heavens did not want to buy these planets. However, the price of the Dragon Palace was too cheap. It was a profit to buy it. 9 firmaments and Broken Heavens spent a lot of resources to buy some planets. The Dragon Palace used all the resources for the job advancement of the poison department. The remaining resources allowed Dujio to advance to the 5th Order Undying God King realm and possess the battle strength of an 8th Order Undying God King. It took him half a month to complete his class advancement in the poison-making department. Dragon King. Half a month later, Orochi, Dujio, and the other two stood at the front with 2,000 members of the poison department behind them. Of the 2,000 members, only slightly over 500 had the battle strength of an Undying God King. Fortunately, after the job advancement, the rest of the members' battle strength had reached the pinnacle of the God Lord realm. The strongest Orochi was a 9th Order Undying God King. Dujio was the only 8th Order Undying God King. The group stood in the Dragon King Hall and greeted Wang Xian respectfully. Next, I'm going to bring you to the Abyss battlefield at the border of the Imperial Court and Cold Night Island. How much you can improve from now on will depend on yourselves. Use all the Abyss demons you kill to improve the strength of your poison department. Wang Xian looked at them and said plainly, Don't worry, Dragon King. I, Orochi, can guarantee that in the future, other than the Dragon King and Dragon Queen, our poison department will be the boss. Orochi roared. Let's go. Wang Xian smiled faintly and stood up. Little ones, follow the Dragon King. This time, you must carry out the treachery, cunning, and unscrupulous methods that I have taught you. Whether or not the poison-making department can rise depends on this, said Gu Shenwei. Demon Fiend shouted at his subordinates. Yes, Boss Demon Fiend. The group of poison department members shouted with fighting spirit. These were the members of the poison department who were taught by Orochi and Demon Fiend. These two fellas weren't good people in the past, and they weren't good people now either. Naturally, the subordinates they brought with them weren't good people either. Dujio followed the two of them dizzily. Chapter 2707. This is the border between the Imperial Court and Cold Night Island. This is also the edge of the Abyss. At the edge of the Abyss, Wang Xian and the members of the poison department stood in front of the Abyss, looking ahead. Wang Xian and all the members of the poison-making division stood at the edge of the Abyss in front of the Imperial Court Abyss battlefield, looking ahead. There were very few people here, including the Abyss species. There was no one within a radius of a few 100 million kilometers. Wang Xian did not tell the Emperor Star Maiden or Bei Shuang about this trip. Dragon King, you are looking down on us, the the poison department, to attack from such a remote place. Mo Shah scanned the surroundings and said, "Do you still not know the strength of the poison department?" Wang Xian looked at him plainly. He, Dragon King. At least we are stronger than Roving Yiksha and his patrol unit. Roving Yiksha is the one in trouble. Orochi chuckled. The time for the poison department to rise had come. Orochi and Demon Fiend naturally hoped for the poison department to rise quickly. Safety is the priority now. How much you can improve depends on yourselves. The Venom Horn Dragon Palace can produce another 8,000. Wang Xian smiled and said to them, "Roving Demon, go and check out the surroundings." He looked to the side and continued. This time, Wang Xian brought 3 level 9 Undying God King Serpent Dragons, including Roving Demon. The main reason was to help Demon Fiend find the location of the Abyss species, so that they could safely carry out their first parasitism. As long as the parasitism was successful, Roving Demon and the rest wouldn't have to worry about what would happen next. Once their first parasitism was successful, they could completely turn into Abyss species, blend in with other abyssal species, and hunt them when they were unprepared. Yes, Dragon King. Roving Demon and his 2 subordinates nodded and entered the Abyss. Serpent dragons weren't suitable for solo assassinations in the Abyss, as the abyssal species gathered in groups. Roving Demon and the rest were suitable for solo assassinations, not group battles. Because this place was remote, a few trillion kilometers away from the Emperor Star Maiden's location. Even flying would take a few days. Roving Demon and the rest only returned after 5 hours of scouting. Dragon King, we discovered an abyssal species a few billion kilometers away. There are over 100,000 abyssal species, with 3 level 8 Undying God Kings. Roving Demon immediately reported to Wang Xian. Are there any other abyssal species nearby? Orochi asked. No, I've already checked. If we attack, we won't attract other abyssal species. Roving Demon said. Then what are you waiting for? Little ones, let's go. Yamada no Orochi's eyes lit up as he shouted. Remember, when you go to a place, send a message, and meet up once every half a month. Be careful and pay attention to the human experts who enter the abyss to hunt. Wang Xian held the communication stone plate in his hand, and spoke to them. Yes, Dragon King. Demon Fiend and the others nodded. The communication stone plate was specially made by the Heavenly Formation. It could be used to communicate within the abyss. This required both parties with the communication stone plate to be in the abyss. Otherwise, they would not be able to contact one another. They would meet once every half a month, to exchange the abyss seeds they harvested for pills in the imperial court. After which, Wang Xian could consume elixir pills to help Mo Shah, and the rest improve their strength. Let's go, let's go. Everyone, don't embarrass me. This is a great opportunity for our drug department to rise. Orochi roared, and led the way into the abyss. On the side, Roving Demon and the others led him to the location of the group of abyssal species. Wang Xian did not go over. He stood in front of the abyss and closed his eyes. Just now, he had placed a surge of energy on Roving Demon, and could temporarily see the situation over here. This was a remote abyss. There weren't many meteorites, and there were plenty of cover. There weren't many active abyssal species as well. After flying for 20 minutes, they arrived at the gathering place of the abyssal species. It was a huge meteorite. This meteorite was the size of a planet, and there were many holes on the planet. It's here. You guys go in and hunt. We'll help you guard the surroundings. Roving Demon said to Demon Fiend, Orochi and the rest. Alright, leave the rest to us. Little ones, pay attention to me. Leave one parasite and kill the rest. Orochi let out a low roar, and gave his orders to his underlings. Yes. All the underlings answered immediately. Dujio, let's go. Big Brother will help you settle that Undying God King rank 8 abyssal species. When the time comes, you can use it as a parasite, Demon Fiend said to Dujio. With a swift move, he entered the meteorite. Once Demon Fiend and Orochi entered, they immediately unleashed their Venom Horn Dragon's attacks. Demon Fiend and Orochi entered the meteorite, and immediately unleashed the attacks of the Venom Horned. As long as the poison was strong enough, it would be terrifying in a group battle. Of course, if the poison was weak, it would be useless. But with Orochi's strength, it was a piece of cake to kill the strongest Undying God King rank 8 abyssal species. 10 minutes later, a group of abyssal species walked out from the meteorite. Fuck. I'm parasitizing this abyssal species. My strength is only at the Undying God King rank 8. Once my energy exceeds the limit, this body will self-destruct. One of the 3 abyssal species in the middle cursed as he sized up his own body. This is too much. After parasitizing, your strength will be limited to the strength of the parasite itself. One of the abyssal species by the side commented. The 2 of them were Orochi and Demon Fiend. They were extremely dissatisfied after being parasitized. Orochi, did you get any information after parasitizing? Roving Demon flew over and asked. I did get some information. These abyssal species are extremely stupid. They only know how to kill. Orochi shook his head. However, according to the abyssal species I parasitized, there is an order in their mind. The Emperor ordered them to expand the abyss and invade the imperial court. Is there any other information? Roving Demon continued to ask. There is another order. All abyssal species are not allowed to kill each other. Every race has to work together to fight against the humans. Orochi continued. Roving Demon nodded. You guys can act on your own here. We will be leaving first. Roving Demon said as he brought his 2 underlings and flew out of the abyss. The abyssal species are not allowed to kill each other. This is a message from their emperor. The emperor must be a god emperor level abyssal species. This order is perfect for us. Although we can only unleash the strength of an Undying God King after parasitizing, it is more convenient for us to ambush Undying God King level abyssal species. Orochi and Demon Fiend exchanged glances and laughed eerily. Kids, let's go and kill the abyssal species. Also, you guys better act properly. Don't let the other abyssal species be wary of you, although they are extremely stupid. Chapter 2708. Within the abyss, Yaki Devil Fiend led a group of underlings and roamed the abyss. They relied on Yaki Devil Fiend's sinister, cunning, and meticulous mind to kill the abyssal races one by one. As long as they set their sights on the abyssal races, they would not be able to escape death. They had no choice, mainly because they were too cunning. What a pity, what a pity. A level 9 Immortal King abyssal race, 10 level 8 Immortal King abyssal races, and 800,000 other abyssal races. It's a pity we are too weak. Time passed day by day. Yaki Devil Fiend and Yaki Devil Fiend looked ahead with bloodshot eyes. There was an abyssal race over there. That was a huge amount of resources. They could not wait to kill their way over. It was a pity they were not strong enough. Brothers, half a month is up. It's time to contact the Dragon King. Dujo saw Yaki Devil Fiend and Yaki's bloodshot eyes and said in admiration, Take out the array compass and send a location to the Dragon King. We will find a suitable place for the exchange. Yaki Devil Fiend nodded and said to Dujo. All right. Dujo nodded immediately. Wang. At the same time, in a remote abyss, Wang Xian floated in the abyss, looking at the communication stone plate in his hand. Looking at the location and the information transmitted over, Zhang Xian immediately flew toward the center of the map. After flying for an hour, Wang Xian sized up the surroundings and confirmed the location before calling Yaki Devil Fiend and the rest over. Yaki Devil Fiend and Yaki Devil Fiend flew over immediately after receiving the message. Dujo and I will leave the parasites and bring the corpses over. Yaki Devil Fiend, you stay here and guard. To prevent any unexpected situations, they did not fly towards Wang Xian directly. After all, if someone saw the Dragon King communicating with the abyssal races, they would not be able to explain themselves. All right, Yaki Devil Fiend nodded. Let's go over. Yaki Devil Fiend and Dujo flew out immediately. Dragon King. Very soon, they met up with Wang Xian and shouted excitedly. How's the harvest? Did anything happen? Wang Xian asked. Dragon King, there's no problem. We are still too weak and did not gain much. Yaki said as he handed Wang Xian a few spatial rings. 6 Undying God King Abyss type, 19 Undying God King Abyss type, 45 Undying God King Abyss type, and about 1,000 Undying God King and above. Emosha continued. Not bad. Upon hearing his report, Wang Xian nodded his head. These abyssal corpses were enough to greatly improve the entire drug manufacturing department. It could increase the number of 8th Order Undying God King realm members. Go to the Imperial Court to exchange these abyss-type corpses for merit points. Use them to exchange for pills, said Wang Xian as he passed the space ring to them. All right. Devil Fiend nodded. I'll go with Dujio. Dragon King, please inform Orochi. Wang Xian nodded his head. Emosha and Dujio flew towards the Imperial Court side. This location was slightly closer to the central Imperial Court battlefield, but with their speed, they still needed to fly at full speed for more than a day. Welcome, heroes, to the Hero Achievement Department. A day and a half later, the two of them entered the Merit Hall of the planet, where the transmission array was located. Immediately, a staff member came forward to welcome them respectfully. Exchange for merit points, said Devil Fiend. All right, please follow me. After exchanging for merit points, both of you will have a chance to enter the hero leaderboard. May I know your names? Asked the staff member respectfully. Hero leaderboard? Hehe, just leave one, Dujio, said Devil Fiend. Huh, big brother, Alright, stop grumbling. Your two big brothers don't care about this. Dujio was taken aback by Devil Fiend's words. Before he could finish his sentence, he was interrupted by Devil Fiend. He passed the space ring to the staff member. There are so many abyss-type corpses. Sir, please wait for a moment. We will count them now. The staff member was taken aback by the number of abyss-type corpses. Exchange all your merit points for pills, said Devil Fiend. Yes, sir. The staff member nodded his head respectfully. After exchanging for merit points, the two of them flew out. Hehe, little brother Dujio, let's see your name. The two of them flew out of the hall. Devil Fiend looked at the hero leaderboard as he spoke to Dujio. Dujio looked over. There were 100 names on the hero leaderboard. And at the 5th name, there were two very eye-catching numbers. Dujio. This made him a little dazed. Once upon a time, he was just an Undying God King expert from an ordinary race in the Imperial Star domain. Now, his name had jumped to the 5th place on the hero leaderboard. It could be said that his name would soon spread across the entire Imperial Star domain. His name would be known by the world after a battle. Let's go. Your name will be at the top in the future. Devil Fiend let out a weird cry as the two of them flew back quickly. Dragon King, I have exchanged all the abyss-type corpses for pills. A day and a half later, Devil Fiend and the rest returned and handed over the pills. Get the rest of the members of the poison refining department over to upgrade them. Wang Xian looked at the pills and said, Yes, Dragon King. Devil Fiend Dujio nodded his head and flew into the abyss. Wang Xian took out the pills and swallowed them, turning them into dragon energy. 10 minutes later, 500 members of the poison refining department flew over under the lead of Orochi. Dragon King. The group of Dragon Palace members greeted respectfully. Alright, Orochi, you should have some understanding of the resources. You decide how much to upgrade them. Wang Xian said to Orochi. Yes, Dragon King. Orochi nodded his head. Wang Xian waved his arm, and waves of dragon energy flew out from his body and landed in the air above them. Under Orochi's instructions, Wang Xian injected the dragon energy into the bodies of the members of the poison refining department. The resources this time were enough for every member of the poison refining department to have the strength of an Undying God King. Moreover, there would be over 1,000 4th Order God Kings and above. After the first batch of members was upgraded, Orochi brought in the second batch. Alright, all of them have been upgraded. Wang Xian said to Orochi after depleting all the dragon energy. Then Dragon King, let's continue fighting. This time, we will be able to kill more abyss types. Orochi's eyes lit up. This time, all the members of the poison refining department had the strength of an Undying God King. In addition to Dujio, there were 6 8th Order God Kings. They could start planning for an even stronger abyss race. Kids, get ready for me. We will go and plot against that 9th Order God King abyss race. We will fuck them up. Orochi flew back and roared with fighting spirit. You're tuning in to the Limei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.